Welcome to My Favorite Bitch, where we talk openly about the good, the bad, and the oh my fucking god ugly of raising dogs, and sometimes other non-canine pets, including the human ones. We might talk about poop, and we might swear, so fair warning. Thanks for joining the pack. Now let's get this ball rolling. For a game of fetch, of course. Hey everybody, welcome to My Favorite Bitch, where we share honest tales about the good, the bad, and the ugly of raising dogs and other pets, and sometimes our human companions. I'm your host, Beth Campbell, and today I'm kind of dressing it up a little bit. If you're watching me on video, you'll see that I have my steampunk top hat with a lovely pair of copper goggles, a lovely little scarf, and my background, I have uploaded a cool steampunk background, just gussying it up a little bit. Why? I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I should dress up a little bit when I talk about things like diarrhea, which is what I'm going to talk about today. My night with Moxie and diarrhea. I know, right? How did you not know this was coming? I told you in episode 1, I'm going to talk about poop. I'm going to get up close and personal with poop. My husband has dubbed me in the past PSI, Poop Scene Investigator, because I do tend to, at times, if there's a purpose, if there's a reason, I will get up close and personal with poop, such as this one time in band camp, this one time in doggy camp. Many years ago, we had a chocolate lab. I've mentioned her before. Her name was Ripley, most perfect dog in the whole world. Ripley was about 8 months old. If I've told this story, I'm sorry, but it's such a good story. It's worth hearing twice. Ripley came home from daycare one day and she was acting abnormal. By abnormal, I mean she didn't want to be anywhere near her humans. She didn't want to play. She didn't really want to be touched. And anybody who's ever owned a Labrador or a similar breed, you know that your dog has to be on their deathbed before they will even display any amount of indication outwardly that they are sick. A lab could have like a leg hanging off, mostly severed, and they'd still want to play fetch. That's just how they react. And Ripley was no different. She had had all kinds of, a slight injury and, ear infection and got bit by a bee on her face. And it's just like, let's go play tug. I mean, that's how they are. So I knew something was really wrong. And she went over into the corner of our yard and I could see from a distance that she was struggling to poop, but nothing was coming out. And this happened a couple of times. And again, between attempts, she really just didn't want to be touched. She didn't want anybody coming near her. Finally, after about 20 minutes of this, she finally went over to the corner and I saw something burst, just completely exploded out of her anus. And as soon as that happened, she kind of gave it another couple pushes. I could see something coming out. And then it was like, okay, I am great. She comes over like ball in mouth. Let's play fetch. I am ready to go. Boom. So of course I went over there with a really good set of Playtex gloves, like the thick kind, not those like cheesy, skinny, disposable ones, like a good pair of Playtex. I just want you to know that I'm sanitary about this. Went over, checked out the evidence, and pulled the hose over to hose it off, and I could see that something was embedded in the midst of this butterscotch pudding-like mass. Sure enough, I pulled it out. I can only describe this to you, my friends, as an everlasting gobstopper. If you ever saw the original Willy Wonka movie, it was a small, probably, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an inch wide square piece of concrete with other little stones sticking out of it. So it was not a smooth stone at all. Somehow she probably at daycare or something hid it in her mouth, came home, it swallowed it at some point between then. And then it somehow miraculously made its way through her system. I have no fucking idea how this miracle happened. because this thing was I mean, with the stones sticking out of it, it was over an inch wide. I have no idea how they got through her digestive tract. And she was young and she lived to a ripe old age, so it clearly hadn't done a whole lot of permanent damage. But dogs will put shit in their mouth and then you don't even know about it. I found so much stuff in Moxie's mouth. It's just this morning on the way home from our walk. I can always tell when Moxie is in retriever mode because usually when she finds something that she wants to retrieve, she immediately wants to take it home. She wants to possess it, hits her prize. She wants to take it home and she starts pulling on the leash. And I should have known when she started pulling on the leash during our walk that something was up, but I didn't see the normal like tree hanging out of her mouth. So we walked along and I was trying to, correct her and doing some training techniques. And finally, at one point, she kind of turned her head and I could see there was something green sticking out of her mouth. And I thought, you little motherfucker. So I stopped, pulled it out. It was a small, about a golf ball sized, like an unripe apple that maybe had fallen from a tree. That I don't know where the hell she found it. She's like a fucking flash. You gotta watch her in slow motion to even see her picking something up. She's so fast. So, okay, tossed it aside, kept on with the walk. I thought, all right, now she'll slow down. But no, she didn't slow down. So now, fool me once, right? I stopped her again because I could see she was kind of gnawing at something in the side of her mouth. Sure enough, she had a second, number two, fucking unripe apple in her mouth. So she had two unripe apples in her mouth. And I had no idea about it for a good amount of time. So this is what they do. Anyways, I'm digressing into retrievers and their mouths. But I want to talk about Moxie with her diarrhea, right? So the other night, Moxie, she sleeps in a crate in our bedroom. And she had a little bit of a looser, I'll say like a butterscotch pudding, like a looser butterscotch pudding, like butterscotch pudding if you had mixed in a little milk with it and stirred it up. It was a little bit looser than pudding. But you know what? She eats shit. We feed table scraps, as you discovered on my recent canine convo with Caprice Del Cerro. I do feed table scraps, and sometimes we, feed the wrong thing. We don't feed her toxic stuff, but sometimes with dogs, they can, especially puppies. It's not a good practice. I'm not proud of it, but I do it. So, whatever. It's happened before where she's had a little bit of a little looser of a stool at night. And then in the morning, it's a perfect poop. So, but she got into her crate, seemed a little restless. And then about, I don't know, a half an hour into it, I was still up reading. She started whimpering in her crate, and when she's down, she sleeps the whole night. So this was unusual. So I knew, and it was starting to get a little desperate. So we hightailed it outside, and sure enough, it was just like a gusher, squirt. Okay. But typical lab. Okay, I'm good. Let's go back. When she went back into the crate, a few hours later, again, middle of the night, it was just shy of midnight, I heard another whimpering in the crate. So I'm going to tangent here for a minute, folks. For those of you who use crates, you know that this actually works. But for those of you who don't, or naysayers who just don't think, oh, they're not going to poop in their crate. And believe me, I know that some of them do, but for the most part, they won't go in the same place that they sleep and or eat. So, and this is a great case. I mean, the good news is she was actually letting me know that she needed to go. So we went back outside again, and again, it's just this explosion of very, not quite watery, but very, very loose stool. So, yes, I did go over in the middle of the night, and I have a headlamp. Yes, I am one of those dog moms, had a headlamp. Kind of checked it out. So yeah, I could see there wasn't anything in it, no blood or anything like that. So, all right, we go back inside. And then again, about 4:00 in the morning, same thing. So, what's the moral of this story? There really isn't one other than keep an eye on it, right? And I did, right? I monitored her. She seemed otherwise pretty normal. She was going on our walks. She wasn't not eating. She did at one point the next morning She puked up some, I'd given her a few little treats in the morning to like, we do a little training. She puked those up, but she continued with the walk. And then for the rest of the day, maybe she just didn't quite eat a little bit, but I monitored it, right? I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to not seek help if I need it. But within another 12 hours, her poops were absolutely perfect and just brilliantly formed. I didn't touch them. I did not invest. I don't investigate good poop, only bad poop. But it was, it was frustrating. It was frustrating because this was the first night where I really, since she was a couple weeks old, where I took her out maybe once during the night, where I had to be up in the middle of the night. I lost a lot of sleep. I was very tired the next day, but looking at the positive, and I do like to look at the positive. I am a believer of the law of attraction. I think if you visualize and you focus on the positive, you will get positive in return. Although most of the time I forget this and I'm just a completely bitter and ugly bitch. But I like to focus on the positive when I think about focusing on the positive. And in this case, I have to say, what are the positives of all of this? Number one, she's fine. Number two, the big thing, she let me know when she needed to go. She didn't just pop a squat right there in the crate. She could have, because some dogs do. We had a lab once who she probably just couldn't hold it. I don't think it was by choice. I say that like we had like a 50,000 labs. Our other lab that we used to have, Ripley, the one other lab that I've had in my adult life, did basically ruin an entire crate, but that was when we were at work, so she probably just couldn't hold it. But the good part is that Moxie let us know, and that's really, I mean, that's a milestone, right? When your dog starts letting you know that they need to go to the bathroom and that they can hold it, right? Because if she had been a little teeny puppy, she probably would have gotten right out of her crate and right there on the floor. But she's old enough now where she can hold it, right? It's like when you're driving home from somewhere and the gopher's coming out of the hole and it's just painfully, but you hold it. You wait. You hold it. One time I didn't hold it. I was in first grade. Story for another day. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're not going to talk about that right now. But as an adult, it's happened to me several times, right? You're on a long trip. You're not near a bathroom. You're stuck in traffic and, it's coming. It's coming out and you have to hold it. And that's what she did. That means that she's growing up. And again, poops are now perfect. So that's my poop story of the week, my diarrhea story. I wish upon you no diarrhea, because even though there was a good that came out of it, that I did recognize her growth and her milestone, and that she took it like a champ, like a fucking woman. That's right. Like what I'm talking about, ladies, period shits. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, she took it like a champ, like a woman, and let us know. So milestones growth, and she's okay. She's perfect and wonderful. Well, not perfect. I do call her the Titanic because there's good reason for calling. Anyway, I digress. That's my poop story. I would love to hear your poop story. I would love to hear all of your dog stories. I would love for you to be a guest on my show, because I fucking love talking to people about dogs. I get on the phone every morning with my bestie and we talk, I don't know, 50% about our dogs and the stupid shit they do and the crazy stuff they do and the wonderful, heartwarming, beautiful, tender, fucking maddening, frustrating shit that they do. So if you are somebody who loves your pets, very passionate about your pets, and have some fun tales to tell, give me a ping. Give me a ping out there in social media world or email. Just get in touch with me and let's bring you on the show. Let's have a chat and we can see if you maybe would want to be on the show. Anyway, listen to the credits and it'll tell you how you can get in touch with me. Thank you so much for being here and listening to my little rant about poop while dressed as a steampunk person. I'm not really even into steampunk. It's not like an obsession. I just love this hat. So anything that makes this hat kind of fit in, I'm thrilled. I wish, if you're blind or if you're listening on audio, I wish that you could see this cool steampunk hat that I got on Amazon for like nothing. And it's really high quality. It wasn't next to nothing. It was one of the more expensive, but not like super expensive. I wouldn't spend like thousands of dollars or even hundreds of dollars on a hat. Anyway, that's all. I'm done ranting. Happy diarrhea, free days. And go play some fetch now. Or I don't know, have a treat. Have a treat. That's even better. But do something fun. Pretend like you're a dog. Live in the moment. And we'll talk to you soon. Take it easy. Thank you for joining My Favorite Bitch, where we don't hold back about what it's like to raise that little fucker of a pet. We hope you had fun. I'm your host, Beth Ann Campbell, and you can reach me on Instagram or Facebook as TheBean67. That's TheBeann 67. And also on Instagram as Moxie Blue Yule. That's my dog's site, she insisted. I'm also on LinkedIn as Beth Ann Campbell, that's Ann with an E, and check out my YouTube channel, Beth Ann Campbell, where you can find this podcast and other fun videos on the playlist My Favorite Bitch. Remember, we are not trained dog professionals in any way, so please consult the real experts and do your research on anything you hear on this program. We barely know what we're doing. Now go give your pet some snuggles, and we'll catch you after a good nap and some tasty treats. My Favorite Bitch is produced by Beth Ann Campbell and is a product of Beth Ann Campbell, LLC, all rights reserved. Go fetch, Moxie! Good girl!